Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Darius TV. I am back with another review, and this one is of You, Season 4, Episode 4, Hampsie. If you like the TV show You, like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video for all things You. I'll be doing a review of the entire season, Part 1 and 2. So, let's begin with this episode. So, basically, this episode starts with Joe being brought in by the police, to be, further investigated, and he's able to do his, verbal tongue tennis thing going on and find some way to get them off his trail so he can continue on with trying to figure out who this killer is. Phoebe invites Joe to this sort of like a house party of sorts type of thing going on, and Joe only comes because he's trying to get closer to whoever this killer is. We find out that Adam is in debt from owing several banks, and he could care less. He's just some spoiled rich kid who'll have his dad to, handle the whole situation. So there's that. Joe was welcomed in so quickly this season by these snobs. I just noticed. It's so interesting how they brought him in so quickly. Of course, everybody besides maybe like Kate and Vic, but these people invited him in so quickly, who they barely know, who's not as rich as them, and they just welcome him right in, and just any other regular person would be trying to find any way he can to get money out of these snobs, but Joe is welcomed in right with them, even though Joe cannot stand these people. Gemma just walks up to Joe and sort of just, once he gets to the party, just insults his appearance, and even questions if he's sleeping with Phoebe, and then she questions if American men or Jewish men are better in bed. And yeah, this character is so annoying. I was really hoping to Joe off her, but we're going to get into her later on as to what goes on with her. Um, After her annoying self walks off, Joe now continues to figure out who these killers are. Everybody else is having fun. He's trying to differentiate who might possibly be a suspect. Joe sees the killer can be any one of the snobs, as you can see once he gets to the party. So, it makes things really challenging for Joe to figure out who this person is has been stalking him. Joe gets a note once he gets to his room, and it says portrait gallery, and he pretty much pulls out his Garrett and goes to go hunting around the house to figure out who this person is. So while he's searching, Phoebe ends up pulling him into the room and tries to do some shagging with him. She even has candles that are shaped like male private parts. So there's that. Okay. Anyway, so Joe wants her to relax, and this basically sort of turns her off because she's coming on to him so strong. And this chick usually doesn't even seem like the type that Joe would really be stalking anyway. The annoying type. Yeah, she might kind of slightly resemble Beck, but definitely she's far from being that. And he brings up the fact that she's with Adam, so he feels that hey, I can't interfere with that. Joe brings up being married and sort of helps her feel better about whatever sort of issue she's having with Adam, and they both decide to forget the whole weird interaction. So there's that. Gemma mistreats the butler, and all the rich people are laughing, but Kate. Kate is just spending most of this episode just finding Gemma to be so repulsing and just irritating. Adam wants to get to know Joe. So during this whole thing where these snobs are playing, I don't really even know what type of rich person game they're playing. But while they're doing that, Adam ends up pulling Joe away, and Joe probably thinks that Adam may be the killer. We all know that Adam is not smart enough to be a killer. We just don't see it in him. Adam asks Joe for marriage advice, and Adam, basically, from what I got from that scene, he was sort of like making up his own advice, and it's Joe pretty much looks like Adam is just a complete idiot. But anyway, he does find out that Rold is the one that invited him to this whole party thing, which sort of makes Joe's antennas go up a little bit. Kate spots Joe spying on her again and confronts him, then asks him to untangle her necklaces, and they're almost about to do it, but it stops. So there's just a strong sexual tension between these two, despite the fact that her husband pretty much just, died a few days ago. She's instantly ready to go with Joe. So, alrighty then. So anyway, Joe questions Kate if Rold hates him, and now Joe suspects Rold might be the killer. So he spends the whole episode trying to figure out more about Rold and see if he has a role in texting him throughout these past few episodes. Joe investigates Rold's room and learns he's from two successful parents and sees photos of Kate on his camera, and that basically just makes him suspect Rold even more. While at the breakfast, Rold sees Kate likes Joe and he hates it. He's jealous, and he invites Joe to do some hunting. And he tries to pull what happened to our vice president on Joe, but Rold tells Joe about Kate's hard, childhood and how she came from the States and all sort of stuff like that. So he knows more about Kate, and Rold feels he has to get to know the people that Kate knows. He feels sort of, I guess, quote unquote, overprotective of Kate. I'm questioning to anybody here. Does anybody think Rold is a red herring that he basically is meant to be looked at as a possible killer, but we know he isn't? He's just sort of, meant to be the current quote unquote antagonist, before the real antagonist comes up. Does anybody else think he's a red herring? I personally think so. If you think so, comment below. He attempts to shoot Joe, but Cape steps in, so that's good. He didn't end up like what happened to our vice president a couple years ago. Kate wants Roll to not hurt Joe. She wants him to step off also. So basically, Kate is completely not interested in Roll at all. Roll wants Kate to be with him. Kate doesn't want Roll or anything to do with his family. So, there's that. Let's see. Joe and Kate get ready for dinner, and she wants to help him with his cufflinks. So, and earlier in this episode, it was first, she was asking him for help with her necklace, and now she's helping him with his cufflinks, and they can't help but to start to do some shagging, as they say in London. So they do it again, and there's that. I do like quote. I do like Joe's quote. He has. I love the dialogue on this show. By the way, the dialogue on this show is as good as that one TV show House of Lies. It was on I think Showtime, and that show Justified. It was on FX. Those are two of the only shows I can think of that has dialogue that's just phenomenal. It makes me laugh. This show also has really good dialogue. I like when Joe was at the dinner table when he says, "Someone drop a bomb on this house." I thought that was funny. I thought that was a pretty good line. Roll questions if Joe is, basically asks him if he's happy with being broker and more poor than they are. And, of course, he's cool with his life, even though, Roll is trying to put him down. And then Big Mouth Gemma asks if Joe is the killer and, makes everything all awkward and weird. While Roll pretty much insults and makes Kate feel uncomfortable at the dinner table, a butler says that Lady Phoebe is quote unquote dead. But this is all part of some sort of a game that she's playing. And the game sort of turns into like almost like it kind of reminded me a little bit of that movie Ready or Not that came out in 2019. There's a bunch of rich people playing a weird game of killer or whatever around some big house. But anyway, speaking of Kate and Joe, I honestly think they make one of the most boring couples that I've seen in a long time. I just don't feel that they really go well together. I never found Kate to be really interesting. She just has a snarky attitude, and Joe just seems really boring with her compared to how he was with Love or maybe Beck or anybody else. It just feels like those relationships were just more entertaining. Probably because Joe showed more of a crazier side to him with them people. But this relationship I think is really boring, to be honest. Speaking of family, I'm surprised Joe doesn't really think much about his son. Really, I don't think that's kind of weird. I know he left them with the couple from last season. I'm surprised he never really talks much about his son. But there's that. But it's interesting to see Joe not stalking someone. So I give him that. This is like I said, he did something different this season. Joe wasn't doing any stalking this time around because they knew that would have got old. So instead, he's being stalked. So that's interesting. Kate tells Adam about her dad and about how he was super rich. He comes from the richest family within that whole house, and but her dad was a bad guy, and he's the reason for Vic the bodyguard being around her all the time because he feels that he needs to protect her. And Joe and Kate seem like they're starting to fall for each other, even though Joe feels that he doesn't want to. He's not looking for love this season. He's focusing on himself. But it seems like there's some love going on there. So Lady Phoebe finds out Adam is in the closet during the game. So that really throws a monkey wrench in their whole relationship. And then while Joe was inside Rold's room and trying to find more information on him, he ends up getting caught by Rold. And they end up kind of tussling a little bit, and he's pushed out of the window. And after thinking and Rold also was thinking that Joe was the possible killer, but instead he's not. He's pushed out of the window, but the bushes break Joe's fall, and Joe feels that most likely Rold knew that that was going to happen, even though that could have went a completely different way. Joe could have fell on his neck or fell on somebody, but and there's that. So he survives that fall, and Joe ends up saying a lethal weapon quote and says he's getting too old for this, which he is. But anyway, Joe ends up hearing a loud scream and he feels like this is real. This is not part of the game. And he finds that Kate has seemed to have killed Gemma after spending the whole episode despising her. And then that's how this episode ends. Okay, this episode was okay. I wasn't really blown away by it. I don't know what I can really say about it. We didn't really get too much into who the killer may have been because there was no signal where they're at, so there was no interaction between him and the killer. I was kind of shocked. I didn't think that Kate was going to kill Gemma. It seems like that, but Gemma's so annoying. Who cares? Or maybe she walked in and maybe Gemma was already dead. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't really have much theories for this episode. This was them hanging out with a bunch of Joe hanging out with a bunch of annoying rich characters, and Roll is a character. It seemed like a red herring. He doesn't seem like he's the real killer at all, obviously, but he's definitely a red herring. He's supposed to be here to be the supposed killer until we get to know who the real one is. And yeah, so this episode was interesting. Not much really went on. I really don't know much to say about this episode. But if you guys have any theories of who this killer might be, because like I said, I know I'm late. Everybody probably already seen the first half of the season. So if you all think you might know who the killer is, please comment below. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. So like, comment, subscribe, and share the video for all things You on Netflix.